Thank you. That's very encouraging to hear.
You had any expectations?
No.
Not really. Awesome. So, welcome all of you. I didn't tell you my name. My name is Milo Weiko, or I told you my name, but I didn't tell you my post. I'm pursuing Bachelor of Architectural Studies coming next year. So, if you have any inquiries about the church, you can reach out to either me or my team members. Ningependa wakuje karibu introduce themselves. Ama atakuja baadaye. That is Manase. Najua Emma with time. Manase, Amos, Emma is back. You will get to know her with time. So I hope that you guys will have a good time with the poster and that your expectations will be met. As for now, we are continuing with our orientation sessions for the whole week. Today we are going to do our sessions on academic life. We hope and pray that you will be blessed by the speakers that we have for today. They will introduce themselves in good time. I think we can just pray and welcome them to continue the session. Sawa sawa. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we are grateful for bringing us here. We are grateful for the new students whom by your grace you've been able to give them favor to join this university, Heavenly Father. And we know that it is by your grace you're going to lead them from this time to the very end, that they may be blessed by the time they spend here, that they may grow to learn to love you more and to be friends to you. As we are going to learn about our academic life, may we find the right charge and exhortation to be able to go with our studies in this school and the strength that only comes from you. Guide us and keep us down with you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You're welcome.
Hi everyone. Whoever to me. Hi. How are you guys doing? Yes. Glad to be here again. My name is Amondi. Here in Postal. I was a student here 2 years ago. Finished in 2023, and I joined in 2018. So spent some good 5 years here in JKUAT. I didn't get the chance to attend orientation when I first joined campus, because I joined I think a week after people had come in. So my knowing of people in JKUSDA was during camp meeting, which is next week, right? Yeah, it should be next week. But glad to be here with you all, and I hope you guys are excited to have joined campus. How many of you are looking forward to joining JKUAT? JKUAT ilikuwa first choice yenu ama hapa mko na crisps to chukua hiyo? Nani JKUAT ilikuwa first choice yako, honestly? You? What course have you been enrolled for? Telecommunication engineering. Wow, quite the coincidence. Okay. So wengine JKUAT ilikuwa second choice, ama hata ile yenye mko mnafikiria alafu mkafanyiwa hiyo kitu. Now you are here. How does JKUAT look like so far? You guys, have you walked around at least? Mkajua other places? How many of you know where the assembly hall is? Assembly hall? Anyone? Great. Hapa tuko wapi? Hapa inaitwa theater. Hapa nayo hapa What's your name? Sorry? Siskia. Unique like that, so I had to call you out. Your name, and then you can try and just take a guess. Abigail. Hata sema yako tu. Computer science. Close. This side. So that's Abigail. Is that what you're taking? What's your course? Statistics. Corpus, right? Okay. So this side. Let me take a guy. Is that an adventurer hoodie? Ish, okay. Uliko commander, ama? When you commander? No. So try and tell me your name and then take a guess. Ben. Bill. Okay, Bill. Sorry? Yeah, my parents wanted me to do that. Medicine and surgery, but then I didn't take it. I wish I did. Biology was not like one of my best subjects in school. Okay, so the last one from this side. So that's Bill. Sorry, Bill. What's the course you're taking? Sorry? So that's judges. Cinder. Yeah, nice. That's good. Okay, this side. And last one, let me see who to take. The lady at the back. Yeah. Shades of brown. No idea. Okay, no pressure. That's okay. The guy with specs. Civil engineering. Okay. Oh, na cut off. Okay. What's your name? Joseph. Okay. What are you taking? Mechanical engineering. Nice. Okay. So you guys were close. I was also in Koitek. That's somewhat close to, actually, Siaribu. Anyway, I took electrical engineering when I was here. So I'm a graduate electrical engineer, currently working with KPLC. That's what I do. So just before I start, this is what I was thinking of today. So it's interesting that I think the only difference between me and you guys is that I was born earlier than you were, right? I think that's the only privilege that I have. That's one of the privileges that I have, because I was just thinking, if probably you were born, I was about to say the year I was born, but wacha nishikilie. If you were born the time that I was born, chances are that with the same circumstances that have been presented to me in life, you'd probably be the one who's standing here giving me advice. Now, sasa mimi ndo ningekuwa nasema sasa mimi ndo naingia first year, right? So it's just a matter of time and chance. So probably look at yourself and imagine 7 years from now, God willing, you might also be in the same position that I'm in, advising first years who are joining, right? So what we're going to share with you this evening are just experiences that we had. And today we've been limited to talk about academics. And as I was thinking of what we were going to share, a verse came to mind, and that is 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3 and 4. I'm going to read it in your hearing in the Amplified version. Now, it's a verse that talks about God comforting us so that we can be a comfort to those who are in the same situation as we are in. Let me read it. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3 to 4. Sorry, it is 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3 to 4. It says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and the God of all comfort, who comforts and encourages us in every trouble, so that we will be able to comfort and encourage those who are in any kind of trouble with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God." Now, reading this verse, okay, I know it has a lot of words that say comfort, comfort, but there's also the aspect of I want you to look at Betta and I today as your elder sister, elder brother, who have come to encourage you with the same encouragement that we received while we were in campus. And, feeling a sense of, I think it's feeling a sense of giving back to you guys. We have come to just share with you our journey and our experiences. And I'm just going to start with one that I had. So, joined first year in 2018. And I think first year was easy because it was just revisiting chemistry, physics. I'm telling this to the guys who are from engineering. And maybe even for the other courses. What you're going to do for a better part of your first year is physics 1, chemistry 1, algebra, geometry. So first year is not as hard as you think, but there are some new concepts that you will get to learn that you probably did not learn back in high school. And then I think it's in first year that you also get to learn calculus, because I think we met this Professor Okello in first year. There's this famous professor who teaches calculus in this school. You will meet him, you will know him. Please, never be late for his class if you are a Coetech student, yeah? Apple, he can even give you a class at 6:15. Please show up. And I mean 6:15 a.m., not p.m., okay? So I know probably right now you're thinking, oh, there's no one who's going to ring the bell for us. Like campus is a different setting. There are some classes that I can skip, nini. Not Professor Okello's class for Coetech students or any other students who will ever meet him. That is even in corpus, yeah, because you guys do calculus too. Anyway, first year was a bit easy. But then I remember when my first year transcript came out, I was quick to share it with my dad. I sent it to him because, see, when we were in high school, hatukuwa tunaficha report form, si ndio? Ulikuwa unatumia mzazi mbio mbio. So transcript ya first year ikatokea. I looked at it, it wasn't really bad, but I had a couple of C's hapo hivyo, and I sent it to my dad, and then he just asked me, na hizi C unaenda kuzipeleka wapi at the end of your course? Because as a high-performing student, your parents are not used to seeing some grades on your report form. And when I heard that from him, I knew, this man is serious about my studies. So when I get to my second year, third year, for the rest of the years through school, I need to really study hard. Getting to second year, that's now when the engineering concept, that's when we started getting an intro to exactly what it is that we were studying. And I think that's the same for the other courses. Sorry, I'm a bit biased with Coetech, guys, because that's my experience. But I hope you'll pick something here and there. So second year is when now we get into learning like engineering principles. And that's where I think the rubber started meeting the road in a way for myself. First year, it was familiar because that was high school. Second year, sasa tukiingia kwa vitu, I'm trying to remember the units. My God, it's just the other year, Jill. Anyways, so like starting to learn a bit of the concepts of engineering, that's when I figured in second year that, you know what, I don't think I'm as smart as I was in high school. So from second year through the rest of my time through campus, I learned my studying habit. And mine was, I really had to read hard. Well, we had people in class who were like pretty sharp, who like kitu ingefunzwa concept na wanashika there and then. Like I remember there was this we had from Alliance. And is there anyone from Alliance here? I'm sorry, I hope sikuchomei, but like he was very, very smart and sharp. If something was taught, alikuwa anaishikia class, he didn't have to read again. And then when the cuts come, it's a calculus cut and the guy pretty much amepata kila kitu. But for me, it was a bit different. I had to read, had to write down my notes. And then later on, I was more of, I thrived in group discussions with some of my classmates. So as the years went by, it was easy to pick from class those people who had the same reading pattern as I had. And so we slowly formed a group that carried us through campus all the way till fifth year. We were like 3 ladies. We would read, and then after reading, we come together and do like a group discussion and study together. So one thing that you should identify for yourself is just understand how best you understand, how best you get concepts from class. If you're that person who you're like the smartest of the smartests, you know, and you can get something from class the moment it is taught, please don't miss your classes. But if you're that person who will have to, you know, attend that class and then again go and read those notes and then again go and discuss with people, imagine just do it for yourself so that at least at the end of your studies, your parents will be proud of what they will be seeing from the results that you produce. And you'll also be proud yourself, right? I don't know if some of you, how many of you here want to graduate with a first class honors at the end of your studies? Just be bold enough to raise your hand. Wow, great. Okay, nice, nice. So understand your reading pattern as early as now, as early as now. The other thing that I would say is when I joined campus, we had a group in church. So I was a bit active in church when I first joined because I came from a high school that was a Catholic school. So we didn't have like SDA sessions. So when I came to campus and I found JKUSDA, it felt like, wow, this is what I've been missing my whole life. So I was so happy to be around. I don't know if for some of you, okay, it's just day 2, but I hope you're already feeling some warmth around this church. And so for me, I came in and I was already choristering, and then kidogo, I was teaching the lesson. Recently I was guys, and I remember in first year, I think that was the first ever form church that I attended. We had lunch with those guys. And when we went there, I met guys who were in second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year. And I was just there listening to them, narrating their stories of how their experience had been through campus. And some of those people are the ones who held my hand through my journey in school. I remember one of them even handing down his file to me so that, you know, I could read and also have some past papers from them. And that's the other thing. In campus, wacha niwaibie siri ya kusoma. It's, yani, just find someone who is a year ahead of you, or even 2 years ahead, who can be able to share past papers with you, not only exams, even zakats. Because most of these things, most of these concepts, they are not very new. Some of these lecturers some of them don't even set new exams. It's usually just the same things. So if you can get those past papers, get them. And that's not a shortcut so that you don't read for exams, but those will actually give you an idea of what it is that you can be tested. But hata usishtuke siku moja if you show up to an exam and unaona it's just a copy paste of what you had there, like what you are reading with. Don't feel as if ati utakuwa umeiba or anything. I mean, it's just a way of surviving campus, okay? So JKUSDA Triple E group was there, and I'm tasking the education department guy. If those groups are not there, please try as much as you can to revive them, because they really helped. Personally, it really helped me like through campus. And let me share one interesting thing that happened to me. I think it was in my third, if not second year. I had like a Ben Carson moment. You guys know Ben Carson. How many of you have watched his movie or at least read his book? Anybody? Okay, nice. So there's this part in his movie where he had not prepared. I don't know if he had not prepared well, ama he was reading for his exam. And then it happened that he got a dream, ama tuite a vision, of everything that was tested in the exam that he was to sit for the next day, right? There's someone who's watched the movies, they're nodding because they relate. So in my, second year, third year, I'm trying to remember. But we had this lecturer in our department who, for his cuts, he used to only set 2 questions, just 2 questions. And those 2 questions, maybe it's just like one, like for 1 mark or anything. It's 2 questions, and I think probably both of them were like 10 marks, 10 marks. So if you don't know the first formula, you know nothing. Like you're completely going to get a 0. And that guy would intentionally find like those hard questions and set them. So I remember I panicked a bit because that was one of the units I was not doing quite well in. And the night before, I prayed to God. And I was just like, hey, tomorrow we are having, should I say his name? Who's taking Tripoli here? Anybody taking electrical and electronics engineering? Anybody? You can see me on the side, okay? I can tell you the name of the lecturer. Anyways, so I remember the night before I was reading, and then I just prayed and said, kuna times zingine ukisoma pia na umechoka unaenda tu kulala. Usijiue sana ati unasoma. It's good to burn the midnight oil, but honestly, if you're tired, you're tired. So I went to sleep, but then I woke up early in the morning, and then I said, I'm only going to read one concept and then practice with one question. Alafu nitaenda cut. Because cuts zake pia zilikuanga mapema, like a 7 a.m. cut. And let me tell you what I read that morning. That very question that I practiced with that morning is what was tested. Actually, ilikuwa mambo na feedback mechanism. And I was so happy. Like, your time nilikuwa so sure that at least I have my 10 marks, Like, it was such a huge relief. Anyways, what I'm pointing to is, one, as you're joining, please understand what works best for you in terms of studies. Those courses, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, I'm trying to remember, you said statistics? Yes. Some of these things you really need to read. It may come easy for you, it may not come easy, but what you should do, understand yourself first as a person. What works best for you? Is it that you will attend that class and be able to understand it? Good. If that works for you, great. Will you have to revisit the notes? Fine. Will you have to, have group discussions with some of your classmates and then that helps you to sort of like remember some concepts? Great. If that works for you, the best, because the reason why you've come here is so that you can study, right? So I'm going to welcome Betta to share something before we continue.
Hello. Hi, how are you? Come on. You guys are not matching my energy. Hello. I'd like to assume I'm a very happy person. My name is Betta. Bill, I know you, right? Do you know me? It's nice to see you here. In fact, I have something for you. I'm so glad to just see you. Yeah, my name is Clifford Betta. I was in your position 12 years ago. Yes, it hit me this week that I am that old. 12 years. Yes, so I reported here 12 years ago. I spent my 5 years in this place. I studied telecommunication and information engineering. I work as a software engineer. Yeah, I have worked for 12 years as well. And yeah, and what else did I want to say? I work at Microsoft and I work on artificial intelligence. So if you want to chat about TIE, we can talk about it. But really, I just studied TIE. I have never practiced as a telcos guy. If you want to talk about computer science and software, yes, you can come. If you want to talk about statistics and machine learning and artificial intelligence, we can talk about that as well. I think that's sufficient for introduction. If you have a question, shoot your hand up and I will just stop and handle that. Really, I didn't come this far just to yap. It's also just to engage. So if you do have a question, please ask the question. So when I came here, let me just underscore what she said. Know yourself. That's extremely, extremely important. And it was interesting when I, joined and met all these people I knew and joined all the different church groups and made such wonderful friends. But what I'd like you or what struck me most really as I was reflecting was the fact that when I transitioned to campus, I needed to define who I was. I had that moment, and you have that moment to decide. Away from home, your parents, their watchful eye, teachers, bells and whatever, to decide who you are, who you're going to hang out with, and what you want out of this place. What did I say? You have that opportunity to decide who you are, who you're going to hang out with, and what you want out of this place. That's a massive decision. That's a massive decision. And as you make it, I'd like you to remember the text in Colossians chapter 3 and verse 23. Whatever you do it as unto God, and not to who? To man. I like to remind myself and my friends that ultimately, the first person we are serving is God. And you know the second person we are serving? It's yourself. You. And then your parents and everyone else comes after that. The reason I put them in that order is so that you don't sit here and imagine you're doing something for your parents. Like you're getting older, and then you'll graduate, and then if they're nice, they'll leave you in their house. If they're not nice, okay. If they are responsible, they'll kick you out of their house so that you go and, find a life for yourself. And, you won't have been here doing stuff for your parents. You should have done it for yourself. So remember, whatever we do here and ever after this place, we should do it as unto God and not to who? To man. And that's a really high calling. That's a really high calling. Because God cannot be deceived. Yeah. God is not the guy you sleep all day and then just before they come. You know how I did this in high school at least. Just before the parents come, you wake up and then you go to study, right? Like God was there all along. So you're not informing him by your acting or whatever it is. So do it as unto God and not to man. You have that opportunity to define who you are. You have that opportunity to choose the people you will hang out with, your friends. What does this have to do with your academics? The most. So as I reported here, I came here with several of my classmates. Actually, we were so many. But I was, just friends with a few of them. But I also got to meet people in JKUSDA. I barely socialized outside, like JKUSDA. There was too many people. But I got to meet people in JKUSDA who I really looked up to. And why? It's because they were studying similar things to myself. They were engineers like me. And they loved God. They were preachers as well. So as I sat there and thought, what do I want to be in campus? I met smart people who loved God and went around the country sharing his love. And I thought, that's what I'd love to do. I'd love to be an evangelist, to go for missions, preach, share in high schools and campuses, but while doing that, not compromise my academics, because these guys were really, really smart. JKUAT used to have an award for those best performing students in their years and stuff. And, they would be there in the assembly hall being rewarded by the VC, like there was a vice chancellor's award. So then it hit me that being religious or being spiritual did not mean that you had to be mediocre in your academics. And that for me was a good thing, because till then, or for a big part of my life, I was embarrassed of very religious people, because the extremely religious people I knew also weren't doing too well in life. Has anyone ever observed that? At least I observed that. I'm like, hey, I don't want to be like them. You pray, and then you're broke. Not me. Yeah, I want to pray and be wealthy. Amen. Yeah. So when I met people who are actually excellent in whatever they did, but they were also very committed to God, then I made the decision to be like them. And that's not a decision I have ever regretted. So, you have that opportunity to choose who you will hang out with. And that's going to impact how you turn out. In fact, I remember in my first week also meeting some people whose concerns were very different. They were going out to Mombasa to hang out and just have fun. And they invited me. They're like, yeah, let's go to Mombasa and stuff. It's like week 1. And I'm like, my mother hears I'm in Mombasa. She left me in JUJA, you know? Like, I'm not so sure I really want to go to Mombasa with you guys. It was very tempting, you know, like, hey, it's campus, right? Imagine you're going to be carried to the coast, you have fun, and then you come back. I don't know what I would have turned out. You know, they were nice people, but that's not the life I wanted. It was very tempting. It was very tempting, yeah. So I chose to be a missionary and to work hard in class so that the gospel would not be, so that other young people will not be embarrassed of the gospel. Yeah. So don't be the reason why young people say, hey, Mr. Kikuomba sana. Am I speaking to someone? Okay. Or at least if you're that young person who says that, change the narrative. Amen? Yes. So you have that opportunity. And then something else that happened as I met these people, all the people who had been here, is that they recommended, people talked about many things, of course, and you'll hear many things, but they recommended 2 things, 2 books, in fact. They said, one, when you're joining campus or before you join campus, make sure to read these 2 books. One of them is called Messages to Young People. Anyone ever seen that book? Anyone ever read it? Yeah, Messages to Young People. And the other one is called Education. Anyone ever seen or read that book? So I bought those 2 books and I used to read them. You know, classic bounce. You know, guys are just catching up. Me, I'd be there, like reading my Messages to Young People, whatever else, you know, because I thought, clearly they know something that I don't. So let me figure this out. So let me share with us at least 2 lessons that I learned from these books. I carried actual physical copies. So Bill, you see me for Messages to Young People because I know you. Education will find another owner. I don't know how you're going to catch my eye or do something, you know, shout, whatever else, ask a question. I need to find someone to give it out to. So let me just flip this to the one statement I really loved from this book. It's very early in the book, but it shaped my life. It's chapter 6, paragraph 1. It says, Dear youth, what is the aim and purpose of your life? Are you ambitious for education, that you may have a name and position in the world? Have you thoughts that you dare not express, that you may one day stand upon the summit of intellectual greatness, that you may sit in deliberative and legislative councils and help to enact laws for the nation? There is nothing wrong in these aspirations. You may, every one of you, make your mark. You should be content with no mean attainments. Aim high and spare no pains to reach the standard. I read that. I read it again and again, and I thought, are you ambitious for education, that you may have a name and a position in the world? That's me. Have you thoughts that you dare not express, that you may one day stand upon the summit of intellectual greatness? I like hanging out with really smart people. I like working with the smartest people in the world. I choose my friends for their intellectual capabilities, and I let them know that, you know. It's funny how, like, I call a friend of mine, and I tell them, just in case you're doubting that you're smart, remember you're my friend. Yeah. And that's because, you know, if I hang out with smart people, I will look and appear smart, even if I'm not very smart. So for selfish reasons, yeah, I hope they find value in hanging out with me too, not just jokes. But do you want to stand upon the summit of intellectual greatness that you may one day, or sit in deliberative councils or legislative councils and help to enact laws for the nation? Then she says, there is nothing wrong in these aspirations. Amen? Every one of you, you may make your mark. You may make your mark. Don't be content with mean attainments, just getting by, just missing a supplementary. Like, your goal can't be, let me just not get a soup. By all standards, aim to not get them, but have a higher goal, yeah? Aim high and put in the work. She says, spare no pains to reach the standard. So that's the one statement I remember from here. From this book, I cannot trace this statement, but I will tell you what it was. That youth ought to be trained to be thinkers and not reflectors of other men's thoughts. What did I say? You need to be a thinker and not a reflector of other men's thoughts. And that impacted me so much so that as I went to class, I thought to myself, like, do I understand these concepts well enough that I'm not just regurgitating them in the exam after cramming, but I understand it? Do I understand, say, physical electronics from first principles? Because I wanted to be a thinker. I was so impacted by these two books that I made, that just decided that, I will do whatever they say. And so when they said, aim high and spare no pains to reach the standards, I aimed high and spared no pains. And when they said you need to be a thinker and not a reflector of other men's thoughts, I aimed to be a thinker, to sit there and grapple with the concepts until they landed in my mind, and not just reflectors of other men's thoughts. We're coming to 8 p.m. I'll mention several things, and then I will sit down and allow Jill to continue, and just in case you have questions. This is a story you know, the story of Daniel and his friends, right? It's told all the time. Here's the lesson I want you to learn from them. Make up your mind now that you will honor God in whatever you do here. And a big part of honoring God is doing whatever your hands find to do well. Amen? The world is very ruthless in its judgment of people. It's, do you bring value to the table? Yes? Then we can listen to you. Nobody cares how religious you are if you don't bring value by the standards by which they measure. And the standard here is your academic performance, right? So, your classmates will only give you audience if you look like there's something going for you. I know, like, you want to be a missionary to people around you and speak to them about Jesus, but guess what? Your Jesus will only be as welcome to them as they think your grades are something to look up to. Like, if you're like getting the worst of grades, they'll be like, can't your Jesus help you? There's a reason we can't go and preach in Japan or the US from Kenya, because they will say, you all have so many problems. Tell God to help you. Yeah. So, make up your mind to honor God in everything you do. And number one act you can do to honor God is just by getting good grades and being disciplined in class. Even your lecturers will be willing to come for you invite them for finally Sabbath or first year Sabbath because you're a disciplined student. And while at it, remember to not be desperate. By that I mean, nothing should lead you to compromise principle to get ahead in life or to get good grades. So yes, your classmates will be cheating, and they do that here. But don't do it, because you compromise your witness. It's impossible to honor God when you're the one who produces more Kenya in class, yeah? So make up your mind to study and get the good grades. But if you have to get bad grades because you refuse to cheat, please get those bad grades there. Do not be desperate. Honor God even when you're going down. The final thing I will mention here is back to the lesson I told you from the book Education, which is we need to be thinkers and not just mere reflectors of other men's thoughts. The goal of you going through campus is not just to get grades, is to learn. And the most valuable thing you learn from here, I've never worked as a telecommunication engineer, but I am forever grateful for the discipline of engineering because it taught me to be a problem solver, to think from first principles. I don't just copy-paste solutions. I think from first principles. And I have found it that problem solving is applicable across industries. Worked in logistics, I've worked in tech for search, I have worked in investment banking, and now I'm working in artificial intelligence. Across all these disciplines, those are not things I learned. But just being able to apply the discipline that you have learned in this place to different problem spaces is very, very valuable. So you need to be a critical thinker. I cannot overemphasize that. And more so, as you guys learn in the age of AI, where your assignment could be done by ChatGPT, true or false? How many guys are ready to just type those prompts and submit it? Like, you all don't have to work hard, do you? Yes, you have to work hard. And do you know why? Acha nikuibie siri. You see, as AI levels the playing field so that anyone can get good output with very minimal input, the way to distinguish yourself is to understand the subject matter so much that the tools you guys have access to are only as valuable to you as you make them. Let me tell you, for instance, can you do the work of like a professional engineer given ChatGPT? No, right? Like, what a professional statistician can do with AI tools is not the same thing you can do right now. Why? Because they understand the subject matter and they can use this tool to accelerate their workflows. It's also the same for the student. The student who sits down and studies calculus to understand it can better use technology to solve problems. So rather than artificial intelligence being the thing that made all students lazy, and I'm speaking about this because I know the impact, right? I built it. And I kind of know how people use it. And sometimes I don't like how people use it because then they just stop thinking. Think. When you get that output from ChatGPT, read it and read it again and think. And let me tell you something else. Look at the reference section and actually read those references and try and reason. Reason with that agent. Try and reason if you would have reached the same conclusion the agent has reached, having been exposed to the same sources. It's hard work. It's painful. It takes a longer time, but you are building a mental discipline that's sure to distinguish you in the world. It will distinguish you here, and it will distinguish you in the world. So promise me that you guys are actually going to think, like you all will not just stop thinking because you can take the lecturer's question and type it into a chatbot and then copy the response and paste it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Anyway, enough about it. Back to you, Jill. And just in case you have questions, prepare them because we'll be concluding.
Okay, I think something else worth mentioning is that, yeah, today we're talking about all about books and academics, but also something else that's probably going to take much of your time if you choose for it to do that is if you'll be active in church, probably you'll be identified and you'll find yourself, having a role. So as you see us both sitting here, I mean, it's because, this is a campus church. So it means the elders are students, the deaconate team are students. All these people who serve in the church are actually students. And just to give you an example, I served as the church clerk, and I was also part of what was I when I was in first year? Choir representative. And that, being the church clerk was quite the task. And even for Better, who is seated here, he was in the mission. Yeah.
So, first year, I served in chaplaincy. And then for the next 4 years, I was in PM, that's Personal Ministries Department. Yeah. And then I worked with Treasury and Nurturing departments to build systems for the church. So just in case you've seen a treasury system, you'll see it on Sabbath, you'll receive an email, you'll receive a text when you pay tithe and stuff. Yes, we built that. Yeah, so there's a lot of activity here as well, for sure. Yes.
Yeah, so probably for some of you, you might get that opportunity while you're here in campus. But one thing that I want you to remember is that you're here to study. In as much as you're here to serve in church, what Better has said is true. Please let not other people think that your Jesus cannot help you in your academics. Please do your best in school. One thing that I always used to remind myself is that JKUSDA, before the SDA part comes, there's JOMO KENYATTA what? University. So your academics really play a huge role. And in case you will be given that chance to serve, please do your due diligence also to be a good student while you're in class. So before we go to the Q&A session, I want to just share something and I'll also ask Better the same question, but let me ask him first. So if you were to go back to your campus experience, what's one thing, two things that you wish you did differently?
Mentioned it.
You did?
I did, but I didn't tell you it that way. I would remember that I'm here, number one, for God. I think that was clear. What wasn't clear was whether I was doing school for my parents or for me. I really thought I was doing it for my parents at some point in time. And so I didn't apply myself too much. Now I know I do everything for myself. So I would have been a bit more strategic. Yeah.
Good. For myself, I wish I would have joined some clubs and societies in school earlier, because that really sort of like helped other students to network. Because I mean, post school or even when you'll be in school, there are times when you'll probably have to go out for attachments. Or just get to know people like in the professional field. So some of these clubs and societies actually do help. So long as like you're not attending the sessions that now will lead you to compromise, especially those ones that happen on Sabbath. If you can draw a line, the better. The better. Anyways, I think why I say that is because one of the most defining moments for me in campus was when I participated in the JKUAT Expo, which usually happens every year. And the project that we worked on is the one that actually came first. And that was in my 4th year. That was like a pretty defining moment. But then looking back, I'm like, there were so many societies for engineering students that I should have joined like earlier. But anyways, maybe now you who is seated here should consider that. Yeah. So long as like Hazikinzani or whatever it is that, a program in the church or anything, go out there and network as much as you can. Yes. So do we have any questions? Do you have anything that has come to mind to say? Questions? Okay. So any questions from the floor? Not only the first years, even the others who are still here. Hi, Sam. Yes. Even if it's not like related to academics, we will take it and try and answer. Anybody? Better has a book, guys. There's a book for someone. We don't have any questions? Okay. So let's see. So maybe guys can share maybe takeaways that they have, from this session. Anything that you have learned or anything that you wish to carry with you through your campus journey from what we have shared. If you're bold enough to share, that would be great. I can take one from, each of you. Nice. Okay. There's one. This side. Nisifungie mtu yoyote pia if you have a hand. Anybody? Okay. Cool.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mine's a question. I wanted to ask Beta how he transitioned from now doing TIE to working in AI. Is it something that you learned while in school or you started learning when you went out? I'm Paris.
Yeah. Oh, can we just take all the questions and then we see how to answer? Yeah. So that we just close that because also time. Yeah.
Hi. So my question was about some of the difficulties that you had passed through in JKUAT. Happy Tuesday. Happy Wednesday. Okay, my question goes, when you came in to JKUAT, maybe you did your course all through facing challenges. Okay, through these challenges, what was your slogan and the slogan that made you pass through these challenges? Okay, the question is to both of you. Number two, what basically were the fruits that you drew from being a member of the JKUAT Church that basically helped you out to grow spiritually in your life? That, like you said, from here, at least you got to solve some problems. So how did this happen in your life? And now you had got a better transformation in your life.
That's it. Thank you. So Paris, the other people didn't tell us their names, so I don't know how to refer to you, but we'll try. I think it was Paris, and then we had two questions about challenges, right? Okay. You all really want to know about the challenges, yeah? How did I transition? I didn't. I started working after high school. And so when I came here, I had a job. And when school was boring, I went to my office. And when I finished, I went to my office. So I think I am very fortunate. But I have worked with people whom we met here and even who have been after here to transition. So again, whatever course you do is not really where you're fixed. I spent my time here out of class, like learning, computer science, and because I loved computers, but I was not studying computer science, and so I spent my time learning that and getting really, really good at it. Yeah, so good at it. My lecturer wants to write a book about my story. So I think that's. So how do you transition? There's a lot of resources online, and you can always reach out and just, we can help you come up with a plan. And yeah, just make sure you don't drop the ball on whatever you're studying. Yeah. Challenges. I don't remember many, not because I didn't have them, but because looking back, those are not the things that pop in my mind. I was having such a good time. I was having a good time serving in church. I was having a good time writing code all over the place. I was having a good time writing code with my friends. Yeah, I think I did Tech Expo for like 2 years in a row. We never won, but we were building like wearable devices for health tracking. Now we have smartwatches. You know, I talk with my friend. I'm like, we were actually building smartwatches before there were smartwatches, man. And I'm like, yeah, they didn't look anything like smartwatches. But but I was having a really good time learning. So much so that you asked me about challenges. I can't remember. Yeah. That's not to mean that it was all smooth or what, but they're not the biggest things I think about at this point, right? What I think about when I look back is I am filled with gratitude at how good God has been to me and God has been to those around me. I told you about my friends, right? And how I choose them. It also goes that people like that do really well in life. So I'm really happy for them. I'm happy for where they find themselves in career. I'm happy that they're all over the world and I can visit and not have to pay for a hotel in some of the nicest city in this world because, hey, I have a friend there. So I just look back with a lot of gratitude for how God led us. We did not see that in prospect. No one had an idea how our lives would turn out, but they have turned out beautiful, and I am happy about that. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe to answer the question on, let me start with this one. JKUSDA, what that has done. So the last point that Beta has actually said is very true. JKUSDA is such a great community that you will not only be interacting with students, but even with associates, like people who have gone ahead of you, like look at us, as in, we were once here, but as a result of that community that molded us, that formed us while we were students, and it's something that has stuck through the years with us, would always want to come back. And wherever you go in this world, you will meet people from JKUAT who will be, ready to welcome you and even host you where they are at. Personally, for me, JKUSDA really grounded me spiritually because one, I was baptized just